Howdy ho guys, right, an update. It's been absolutely ages. I think it's been the best part of a year since my last one, which I apologise for. I've been ridiculously busy. Lots and lots been going on in terms of building and making new things for the plot, and obviously just planting out. Things are quieting down a little bit now, not so much planting out, it's just more weeding and harvesting what's ready. So I thought it'd be a good time to do a video. So I'm going to start from back from the plot all the way to the front to show you what's new and what I've planted and how things are going. So we'll start off at the back of the plot. Oh, there's Emily with a carrot. Right, so this is the back of the plot which I cleared last year. Now the idea was to put the polytunnel up here, but because I spent quite a bit of money on timber for some other projects and also buying a tiller, I didn't really have the money to buy all the bits and pieces for it. So that's going to happen at the end of this year, which I'm looking forward to. The shed, which was supposed to move, isn't going to move. We tried moving it and it's almost broke it, so it's staying there. So I'm probably going to leave it there for one more year, and I'll probably use this again as a pumpkin patch for next year. And then it's going to get demolished and I'm going to just buy a new one or build one. I don't need a massive one. And that's going to go in the corner there. So this year, because it wasn't going to be used for anything, I've put the giant pumpkins in, and oh my, they have taken over.
And we're doing a contest, see who can grow the biggest pumpkin.
Exactly. So this is Charlie's pumpkin plant. Kind of
I don't know where mine ends.
Yeah, or where Emily's begins, and Emily's starts from over there. But we lost loads of pumpkins to the slugs. Emily, no one wants to see you sweet. Yeah, we lost quite a few to slugs, and in the last couple of weeks this has just exploded, and we've got quite a few decent ones just set. So got a nice one there. That's
mine.
That's Charlie's. There's a few. Just spotted another one.
One is over here.
Yeah, Emily's big one's over there. I'm not going to climb over to it because I don't want to damage it, but I've got loads of little tiny ones sort of down here, which I need to kind of just get rid of. They're everywhere, so I need to kind of go around and cull all the tiny ones and let it all grow into one big one. So yeah, I'm really, really pleased with these, and it makes use of space that I wasn't going to be using.
Can I call about ants?
No, we're not talking about the ants time. We have a giant ant nest under that slab there, and the kids absolutely love it. There's literally hundreds of thousands of them under there. Right, moving on swiftly. Just got carrots in the bathtub.
Have you done the corn?
I've not done the corn, mate. I'm working my way through. Right. Oh, well, in a minute. So, out of the way. So here was where my garlic was. I pulled it up last week. Had horrific rust on it, but I've got some nice, decent sized bulbs. First year growing it, so quite chuffed. I made a mistake. I don't know if they're soft or hard neck. I just bought them from Wilkinson's on offer and I shoved them in. They seem to do alright. Leeks. Never grown leeks before, but I got them free with my seed order from Mr. Fothergill, so I put them in. Just 2 rows, nothing major. We'll just see how they're going. Annoyingly, I've got really bad bindweed here, so it's just everywhere. So I think the problem is I went over this area. This was new. This was roughly dug over, I think, in my last video, and I went through it with a tiller to break it down, and I think that just made it horrifically bad for the bindweed. And as you can see, I've actually edged the whole of the main bed. You'll see it as we go around, and that's one of the things I spent nearly £100 on. Because basically these are just, decking boards, and they were £2 each from Wix on offer, so I went and bought 40 of them. And yeah, so I'm using them all around, and I'm really pleased I got them. So it makes things so much tidier. Then it's not a straight line, but I don't really do straight lines, so it was done to eye, and it's roughly right. Also, along this bit here, I've talked about it a few times, is extending the fruit bed up to the edge of the veg bed. So I've done that. So I've put my last 2 of me rhubarb in, and I've got some free blueberry bushes, and they're only like £1 each from B&M Bargains. I know they're a little bit twiggy, but they have actually started to flower. I'm not expecting anything majorly, but a bit of nourishment over a couple of years now start giving me some good crops. Right, onions. I can't grow onions. It's just something about me. I planted onions from here up to where the tomatoes were, loads of them, and this is all that's
I
left.
thought these was the onions as well.
No, they're leeks, mate. I put the leeks there because I had to take out the onions.
They look different.
Yes.
Now I know. These are
What's
different
made it
type
worse
of
is the bindweed, because it just latches on, binds all the leaves of the onions together, drags them to the ground, and the slugs just have a party. That's why all of them are missing their leaves. So most of these are going to be lifted up, and then I'm going to treat this with glyphosate. I've tried digging out the bindweed here, but it's just a nightmare, so I'm going to just treat it chemically and then go back and dig it over. Right, moving down. So, tomatoes, nothing fancy. These are the plum tomatoes, the seedless ones. So these are ones I'm going to be drying out for sun-dried tomatoes. So yeah, they're doing alright actually. Last year they didn't do very well at all, but I'm quite pleased with how it's going so far. Really pleased with this lot. This is my parsnips. Last year I had about 5 parsnips. This year I've got, I think, 4 half decent rows. So I'm quite pleased with that actually.
Why forgot your umbrella?
It's an umbrella for the sun, dude.
Ah.
Right. Some of my new constructions is the netting for my brassicas. I think they cost roughly about £10 each to make, but bear in mind I had a load of this mesh. This is Enviromesh, really expensive stuff. I had a load of that here at the plot when I moved in, so if I didn't have that it would have doubled the price easily, because it's about £5 or £6 a metre. So I've grown them. So I've got my Swede in here, which is actually doing so much better than last year. I've actually got, I don't know how well you can see because it's really bright, so I can't really see on my screen very well. I've actually got some decent size roots growing. There's a bit of powdery mildew at the minute, so I'm going to give that a spray. But in terms of pests and stuff, it's been alright. Last year they got absolutely destroyed by whitefly and the brassica beetle. Had a little bit of a problem with it this year, but done a couple of treatments and they seem to be doing really well. Yeah, they got absolutely destroyed. I didn't get a single one last year, but I'm looking to get at least a couple dozen from, well, I'll say a dozen or so. So yeah, pleased with that. Over here,
Just some other pumpkins.
yeah, some normal pumpkins. These are the New England pie pumpkins, doing really nicely. Again, had a bit of powdery mildew because we had some really damp weather, so I've treated them. And it was this time last week I treated them, and actually it looks like it's put it to boot. Really, really pleased, and starting to get some. They're not massive. They're not as big as last year, that's for sure. But no problem. Got lots of them. Another. If it's fat, mate, you can pull it out. So kale in another net. I have got a little bit of whitefly because what's happened is I bought cheap timber and it's warped, so there's a gap underneath, so it's not quite sealed off. But I've got some fly traps and it's got a few holes in it. I need to stitch them up, but still serving a purpose, doing really well. Brussels sprouts, but it's going to outgrow this pretty quick, so might have to put some loose netting on there. It looks like some slugs have got to my kale, so I need to deal with those. And the sun's come out, so it's making it really hard to see what I'm pointing at. Peas, just on some chicken wire. I can't even remember what variety they are. I just picked up a bag from Wilco's for £1 and planted all of them, so doing quite well. Yeah, I got a little path going through. Next year I'm going to do like 3 or 4 rows of peas and do a few different varieties. Where Emily's currently standing was the potato patch. I had earlies, salad, and my main crops. My main crop's still in at Sarpo, but they're looking really bad because we got millions of potatoes, yeah, because it's been really, really dry. So they look like, no, they just need a jolly good watering, mate. So yeah, we'll give them some water today. But yeah, I've actually been quite pleased because the soil's so hard and clay-like. I didn't think I'd get much out of it with potatoes going directly into the ground, but I run my tiller through it into each trench and they've done quite well. My little sweet corn forest, which I'm really, really pleased with. This, in a previous video I made, but I didn't actually post, I did a load of these in peat pots, but they all dried out and died. So I had to quickly run to Wilco's, grab a couple of packets of seeds and plant them direct. So usually I wanted to regrow lark after last year's complete failure. I can't even remember what variety these are, but there's something from Wilco's, and they've done really, really well. So I did two seeds per position, and yeah, doing all right. Be even better if they're sort of uniform height, but unfortunately they're not. So that's just my Sarpos, in desperate need of some water. And as you can see, I've got all the wood and timber going around the outside. Right, this is one of my new structures. This cost about 40 quid to make, but it's really good. I'm really pleased with it.
There are so many runner beans on this.
There are so many runner beans. So this is my bean frame.
Dozens and dozens.
So
Dozens.
I built this from scratch, and I'm quite pleased with it because I'm no carpenter or builder, and it's doing quite well actually. Supports everything nicely. At the minute, I'm quite amazed it's holding it. It's all on string because I couldn't find bamboos long enough to go from the bottom to the top. But what I've done, I've just bought a whole load from Wilco's on offer. They're down to like 75p. Oh, wait, camera mate. But I've also got some extenders for the bamboos, so they only need about another 40 centimetres to make it fall all the way up to the top. So next year it'll be bamboos, so they have a bit more of a... It's amazing, I'm trying to film and they've decided to use this moment to keep talking to me. I know, apples are dropping.
No, there's a beehive here.
So a beehive, we'll have a look, don't go near it.
You'll probably annoy them like...
So yeah, these are Firestorm, and my word, they're just producing so many, absolutely laden with them. And I'm used to getting these sort of crops a little bit later, sort of towards the end of autumn, early September, but now I've been getting them really early. Absolutely covered with them. Right, I'm not going to go too much up this side, but basically these are all my currants. I've picked them pretty much anyway. I've made loads of jelly out of all of them. But yeah, this bush here just kept me going. It took me about 2 hours to pick all of them, and there's still more on there. Raspberries. I just made this like T-cross frame thing with some leftover timber, which I found. And it's kind of served a purpose, but again, bindweed here, you can see it all on the floor. I need to go give this a jolly good pulling out. It's just horrific, so it's caused some problems. Because the problem is with bindweed is you start yanking at it and it pulls off all the fruit. But now because most of the fruit's been picked, I can just start coming and get a bit medieval with it all. Getting towards the end, strawberry patch. It's all done and gone now. These only crop for a couple of weeks. This is called Marshmallow. But I've never had such an amazing harvest. Literally, I've probably had about, I think I weighed it out when I was making a jam out of them all. It was about 6 kilos out of this small little patch here. And that's what we haven't been eating or giving away. And the reason why I think it is because I've actually got a bumblebee nest in the compost bin, which I've got a little video clip of, and I think the proximity of having all these strawberries right next to it just gone absolutely mental. Taking me ages to pick them all. So I've got some new runners coming through, which will be planted up at the top there, because these are like third year plants. Compost bin, I've got loads of pumpkins in there, doing really, really well, as you'd imagine, growing directly in manure. Just can't really see because how contrasty the light is today, but there's loads in there. There's about 7 or 8 on each bush at the minute. They're even dangling out the outside and growing out. Now, I know it's really bright, so I'm going to be really careful where I point my camera. My apple tree is absolutely loaded. Last year, I'd cut it back quite a bit. But this year, again, might be because the bees being in such close proximity, absolutely jam-packed full of apples, and I'm kind of freaking out what to do with them all. So there's an allotment society in Nottingham that has a masher and a juicer, so I think some cider making is in order. Never made it before, but hey ho, if I've got the apples, let's do it really. I do need to get a pheromone trap for this, because I have noticed quite a few of them have got the telltale signs of that. I can't remember what it is. I can't remember, some sort of moth. Yeah, so I need to get the traps for the next year. And if they make good cider, I'll invest in my own press. I don't even know what variety they are, and I kind of need to find out really. But yeah, they're doing absolutely fantastic. Really, really pleased. one of these amazing crops you don't do any work for. It just comes back each year. Might need to give it a bit of a trim because it just, when they get heavy with the fruit, they just dangle down everywhere. Right, oh, nice bit of breeze. It's absolutely boiling today. This is my artichoke bed. Now, I have picked some of the artichoke, but I've never actually got around to eating them, which is a bit of a shame. So I'm actually going to leave them this year in terms of picking. It did say you can pick a couple, but I'd rather not. I'm going to just let them flower, get 1 year out of the way, and the next year I'll pick them. But yeah, they've done quite well, and the flowers are just absolutely stunning. Zoom in, and the bees are loving it. There's a bee in there, can't focus in on it though. Oh, there we go. Yeah, the bees are going absolutely mad. Oh, gone out of focus. So this is one of the spare beds. This is where the asparagus is going. But every couple of weeks I'm weeding it, because once the asparagus goes in, I can't really mess around with it. So I'm going to try and get rid of all this cut grass and all that lot out of it. So I'm actually letting the weeds come through. And I'll probably do a couple more weeks, and in September I'm planting it out. I don't think I can leave it any longer because they're completely root bound, pot bound in the greenhouse. I can't really leave them much longer. Because the idea was, when that shed finally moves, I can extend this bed by another length of timber. And that would actually take it pretty much parallel to the top there. So everything will end at the same point, but that shed isn't going. It's really, really annoying. It's actually on a slight angle. And you can tell how bad it is because, I don't know if you see, these slats, when I put them in, were touching each other. And it's lent so badly, there's loads of gaps in them now. It's quite worrying. I'm kind of expecting a gale to come around. And it's, I don't know, can you see? Yeah, I think you can see it's off on a pitch. It wasn't put together very well. We did try to move it. We did move it very gently. And it's just, I think you can see it better there. How bad it's pitched. Pile of rubbish. I don't know, either someone's getting murdered or someone's been stung by something. So yeah, that's it, that's the update. Long overdue. But the main work now is, once these pumpkins are gone, polytunnel's going straight up. I've got 2 doors, which I've permanently borrowed from my neighbours. They put them out for the bins and I grabbed them. So I don't have to build doors now, which saves me quite a lot of money on timber. Just need to get the sheeting and just tidy this lot up because it's just overgrown with bindweed at the back there. And what I'm hoping to do is actually fence off the back, because the plot behind us is quite messy and I'm getting a load of stuff coming over from there. So what I want to do is actually fence it off, a bit more of a permanent barrier. And I've actually got from my neighbour a thornless blackberry bush, which I'm probably going to run along trellises. I've also got some grapevines which I need to plant somewhere. So again, I might make some little terrace for them to run along, but I'll put them in my polytunnel as well. I'm going to stop talking. Oh yeah, it's a nice butterfly. I'm going to stop talking, and yeah, I'll do an update in whenever, really. I won't promise, because my last one was about a year ago. So till next time, I'll see you later.